here you go. Gotta go see Shazam and give you a review right afterwards. And it's gonna have spoilers, so be warned. Starting off, I know comic books. I grew up reading mostly DC, then later into Marvel. I was never really a big Shazam fan, especially in the comic books. I know the story, you know, I've seen it, I've read it and stuff. I don't know the whole intricacies about it, but I do know they started a new Shazam, and it's, from what I've heard, it's closely tied to this movie. So I'm going to talk about the movie, and I'm going to talk about spoilers, because going in, my first thing, I wanted to know if there was going to be any other DC heroes in it. And I'm gonna talk about it right now, the end credit. Well, it's not actually an end credit, it's the last bit of the movie. Shazam, Billy Batson, shows up to the school, because earlier in the movie, Freddy wanted him to go to the school, and so everybody would know he knows Shazam, and he didn't show up, and, you know, of course he got bullied for it. But at the end of the movie, he shows up, and he brings a friend with him, and it's Superman. But it's not Superman's face. And they first show him from the side, and you can tell it's Superman. And then he's holding a tray, and they show him from the neck down, which was a smart move, because is Henry Cavill going to still be Superman? Is he going to be the, you know, whatever route they go with it? So anybody can be Superman in this Shazam universe, which is good, or Shazam into their universe. He was the only one that showed up in the movie. There is a scene earlier when Shazam is telling the story of the, I guess you would call them the other wizards like him. And they show Black Adam. They don't call him Black Adam. They show him in like kind of a special effects fiery thing, which is pretty cool. And you can clearly tell it was modeled after The Rock. The Rock does not show up in it. They talk about Superman in the movie. They talk about Batman, and you've probably seen a commercial when he throws Batman at Dr. Sivana when he's chasing him inside the toy store, and it's clearly Kevin Conroy's voice from that cartoon Batman, which is awesome. A couple nice little nods. There's a nice nod during that same fight scene where Billy Shazam steps on a piano like they have at FAO Schwartz, and it's clearly the song from Big. And you know, he realizes that in that moment, and he's kind of giddy with it. And then Dr. Sivana runs. I don't know, they never really called him Doc. Well, maybe, I don't know, but you know, the bad guy. And he runs at him, and it's funny. The music goes, and it's pretty good. So let's see. I get long-winded. I talk about stuff. Overall, it was a good movie. Is it Aquaman good? I would say no, but it's a lot better than I expected. It's a little darker than I expected too, because this is a perfect villain. It's a perfect role for Mark Strong, who's been in other movies. You might remember him in the Green Lantern movie. He's been in Kingsman. Loved him in Kingsman. But this role, oh, let me talk about when he's flying. That is probably the best villain or person flying, period, with his leather jacket, and it's got, you know, the fur around it. It just, him flying I'd say it looked better than Shazam when Shazam was flying, because Shazam's, you know, all in the red, and it's got the white cape, and it kind of looks comic booky. But that was perfect, evil villain superhero flying, I'd say. It's just so much I'm processing right now. Good fight scene, the boardroom. That was probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. There's some real funny stuff. There's a scene later in the movie when Sivana and Shazam are fighting in the air, and they're like a building or two apart, and he starts going in his evil monologue, and Shazam is like, "What? I can't hear you. What?" You know, and he's like, "Are you evil monologuing?" It was a good nod for Deadpool. There was a couple good nods to other movies in it, and I'm sure there's tons of Easter eggs for all the comic book fans. I wish I knew more about the Shazam story. Let's go into his family and when he gets to that foster home. Little Darla, I think Darla probably steals the movie, and played by Megan Good. When they all later in the movie I can't even speak, wants Shazam to hold the staff and say his name so the powers will transfer to him. So in that moment, Billy realizes he can transfer the powers of Shazam to his foster family, which he does, and it's a great moment. But Darla, in it, she's fighting the main villain is Dr. Sivana, but it's the 7 deadly sins who are, you know, the evil sins that are giving him his powers. And she's fighting one, and she saves Santa Claus. And she goes, "My name is Darla, and I've been good." You know, it was just a hilarious moment because she's a little girl, and she was still believing in Santa Claus, which was awesome. And Freddy's played later by Adam Brody, which he did a good job in it, because throughout the movie you're thinking, you know, Freddy knows everything about all the superheroes, this and that, and then when he becomes one, you know, he's still a kid, and he runs from the, I don't know who he is fighting, if it was Greed or what, but when he ends up fighting him and all, it was good. All the kids, when they become their alter ego superheroes, were spot on. For some reason, Mary, who I know who Mary was because she was one of the first spin-offs from Shazam, and they all have costumes and everything, but for some reason they still have her in her skirt like the original. I guess it was a nod to the original in the comic books, but she really didn't have anything to say when they became adults. On and on. It's a good movie. I know I'm forgetting something because it's so fresh and I'm trying to think of stuff, but if you like comic book movies, I'd go see it. If you like Zachary Levi, I've liked Zachary Levi since he was in Chuck, and I was worried that he was going to be Chuck in this movie. But there were some moments that he reminded me of Chuck, like when Chuck, if you remember the story of Chuck, when he's got the intersect in his head and he realizes he can do karate or kung fu or whatever it is in that scene. He kind of had that Chuck, but overall he was a good Shazam. I'd love to see in the future, if they can, because they introduced, you know, 5 more superheroes with the Foster family, with Pedro, Mary, Darla, Freddy, and Eugene. If you're a video game fan, you'll love it when Eugene's character says fatality, and you'll know what it's from. But overall, it was a good movie. There was what I was saying is, the end credit scene at the end is Sivana in jail, and he's writing the symbols all over the wall. And then, well, let me go back. Earlier in the movie, you see a little worm in a case in Shazam's lair, which is Rock of Eternity, I think they call it. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And then later, after Sivana gets his powers, you know, that's cracked and you notice the worm's gone. But at the end, in the end credit, he shows up in a jail and he tells him about the 7 realms, which I'm just going off memory here. It's like Monsterland, Gamesland, and, you know, 5 other realms. If you know, you can put it in the comments. But that would open up a big sequel for the movie, which would be pretty awesome, because depending on how good this one does, I hope it does good, because the awesome potentials for a sequel in these different realms and with all these different characters should be pretty good. And introducing Superman at the end, even though they didn't show him, but the one part you're gonna stay for the end credit, because, you know, end credits are worth it. But they do a cartoon credits, and in the credits they show Aquaman, they show Wonder Woman, they show Flash, they show Batman. The Batman one's hilarious because Shazam steals his Batmobile and Batman's getting dragged around, and he goes to prom with Wonder Woman. It's funny. But overall, like I asked Ashley right when we came out, and she said it was a good movie. She's not as big into the comic book movies. I think she said it was on par with Captain Marvel, but they were 2 different movies. She liked Captain Marvel, you know, very empowering movie for women and superheroes in general. But she said it was a good movie. I agree, it was a good movie. And would I see it again? Yeah, I'm wanting to see it again. I don't know if I'll see it again in the theaters, but I'll definitely see it again just to pick up on all the other stuff. And in the meantime, I'll read the new Shazam comics, because I think they're only on issue 4, maybe 5 by now. So, and from what I understand, they follow this new one pretty good, which is exciting. Because a lot of times you get these movies and it's the director's vision of that character. But all in all, I'd give it a thumbs up. I'll give it 2 thumbs up. How's that? And wow, this lady almost hit our car. But I'll leave it at that, and until next time, if you want to see me doing more on-the-spot reviews with me or me and Ashley, I think we're going to see Dumbo later this week. We'll do a review on that. But just thanks for watching, and don't waste a day. Every day's a gift.
We are getting done. Bags packed, so we're on the run today. We're really on our way.